Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's live as part of Pharmacy 360's program, focusing on the topic of movement and exercise. And tonight we're hoping to get Dr. Noel Mccaffrey from Exwell Medical on to join us. He is the CEO of Exwell Medical, which is all about exercise and well-being. They have a super community-based organisation. So basically they're exercise classes for people with chronic illnesses. So once there's anything at all impacting your health negatively, you are eligible to join one of the Exwell classes and their programs. You have to get referred onto the program, so we will be getting Dr. Mccaffrey to explain all about that and the importance of exercise, because exercise really is medicine. And the more we can kind of get that into our minds, you hear people saying that not exercising daily is like taking a depressant, because exercise makes us feel so good. But when you're dealing with an illness and you feel unwell and you're sick, or your energy is low, you're in chronic pain, how can you tell someone, off you go and do some exercise? And that's where it gets tough. So I can see Dr. Noel will be trying to get in now, so if you just click request to join, I'll get you on and we'll get this going. Really excited about this one, because in pharmacy we see so many people, and the fact that pharmacists can now be part of the referral pathway to get people to actually sign up and get onto the program. Oh, here we go. This screen will split and we should get Dr. Noel Mccaffrey on with us any moment now. Let me see. Request to join, accept. Sometimes this has been glitching the last few times, so Noel, if you could actually try that. Oh, is this now? There we go. If you just turn the camera back on yourself there, opposite direction. This is your first Instagram live. There we go. Thank you so much for joining us. I know you're a very, very busy man.
Sorry about the lighting here.
You're fine. Okay. That's all good. I can see you perfectly there.
Good.
Nice. I've just given a really brief intro. We're so grateful that you've given up your time to come on tonight. So thank you so much. Something that you're running that's in loads of communities, popping up all around the country. It's just super, and I think it's really important when we're looking at people's lifestyle health. Physical activity and movement is just hugely important. They're saying sitting is the new smoking now, so the more we can get people moving and active, no matter what their health status is, and that's where you come in. So from your point of view, I know you're an sports and exercise medicine specialist. Why is exercise so important?
Well, first of all, Liz, it's great to be here. Thank you for inviting me. I suppose my passion is clinical exercise, and what that means is the use of exercise to prevent and treat chronic illness. And so exercise has a role both in preventing people from getting these chronic illnesses, which include heart disease, lung disease, diabetes, MS, Parkinson's, all the chronic illnesses that we know about. But also, exercise then has a key role in treating them if they do happen. So that if you want to prevent yourself getting hypertension, one of the key things to do is to be regularly active. If you get hypertension, high blood pressure, one of the key things to do is then to become regularly active. The same applies to type 2 diabetes. To reduce your risk of getting it, you need to be active. And if you do get it, one of the first treatments is to become active. So exercise has a role in the chronic illness landscape, and the chronic illness scenario in this country and in every first world country is to some extent quite depressing in terms of the prevalence and the challenge. It affects 40% of the entire population in Ireland. It affects 85% of people aged over 65. It consumes it's huge figures, and the thing is that the critical thing to understand about the role of exercise in managing people who have chronic illness, which is called secondary prevention. Primary prevention is an attempt to stop people getting it, but if they have it, secondary prevention is the various treatments that are used to manage an illness, and exercise is one of them. And the critical thing to understand about the role of exercise is that it can have a huge impact on people's wellness without having to fix the illness. And that's the critical thing to understand, that whether you have an illness or not, um, or if you do have an illness, many of these illnesses, they don't go away, but that doesn't matter in terms of the potential role of exercise in enhancing a person's wellness.
And how they feel on their day to day, their energy levels, feeling more positive in their mindset.
Well, there are several benefits of exercise, and we're talking here about ideally group exercise, because group exercise comes with the huge added benefit of social interaction and friendships and networks. And for some people who are struggling with the burden of chronic illness, or who have become a little bit frail, or whose lives have become a little bit lonely because of, for example, bereavement, getting together with people like yourself in group settings where there's no expectation of being dramatically fit or looking, $1,000. None of that matters. What matters is getting out and becoming active, and that fosters or is greatly facilitated by having some friends who are doing it. And suddenly there's a focus for people to go once or twice or 3 times a week to a setting which is safe and enjoyable and fun, which also is having a major impact on those components of fitness which matter to somebody's ability to be active. It's like strength, for example, or improved balance, or improved aerobic fitness. All of these things are fundamentally important to be able to carry out the most basic of daily tasks, like getting dressed, like doing the housework, like doing the gardening, like being able to take a walk. All of these things are fundamentally linked with having a basic level of fitness. People don't often think about it as fitness, but it is fitness. So that's what Exwell is about. We were formed in 2019, and we have grown rapidly. We're a non-profit. We offer exercise classes in community settings to people with many different long-term medical problems, and we do it for people who are referred to us by doctors, nurses, physios, and allied health professionals, and pharmacists as well. So that's what we do. And, there could be 50 people in a class, there could be 20 people in a class, and it's just fantastic fun. And one of the key things we focus on is measuring the impact, and there are ways of doing that. So we do it, and we show to people that it is having a beneficial impact on things we can measure, like strength, like aerobic fitness, like of frailty. So, and the people who attend us are delighted to get feedback about their progress based on these objective tests. So we're not just pretending.
And they can see their progression.
Yeah. So that's the nuts and bolts of it. And I suppose the other thing to explain to people who are on this call tonight is that anybody can take part. Like, we don't turn anybody away. Our philosophy is that our job is to make sure that we do something, we make it work for you rather than turn you away. So it's not our philosophy is, what can you do when you come, rather than can you come. Anybody can come.
A lot of people, like, I know I've said it to quite a few people, especially recently, the fact that we now as pharmacists can refer people to the program too. But some people are like, oh, I have a bad knee, I'm my hip would be too sore at the moment, or kind of think I'm in pain now, so I'll wait till I get better. But to those people, what would you say?
Now, this is a really good question, Liz, because pain is so common in people who are mature in years, over the age of 60. Almost everybody has a bit of pain of some sort. And the reality is that about 2/3 of people who attend our program have pain every day. And
Yeah.
for some of them, it is the reason they are referred to Exwell, and for some of them, it's not. So,
Mm.
you can have a bad heart, but you also have a bad knee. And very naturally, people ask the question, well, what will I do if my pain gets worse? Or will it get worse? And the answer to that is that it's very common if you do an exercise class for the pain you experience, wherever it is, to flare up a little bit and for it then to settle down within a few hours. And then you do the next class and the
Mm-hmm.
same thing happens. And the next class and the same thing happens. But over time, in fact, the pain is not changing. Now, if that is the scenario, then it's absolutely the case that the best advice to give people is to ignore the pain and do the class, because
Yeah.
the benefits in terms of confidence, mobility, um, aerobic fitness, improved balance, reduced falls risk, and friendships.
Mm-hmm.
The friendships that are made by
Yeah.
participating, those bonuses far, far, far outweigh the flare-up of pain which occurs. And that is what applies to 95% of people who tell us they have pain every day. 95% of them tell us that having been on the program for a month or more, their pain has either not changed or, in fact, it may have improved, which is a very interesting point to make, because it reflects a change in the way chronic pain is now treated in modern medicine. It's no longer all about medications and injections, but more about movement as a treatment for pain. So, in a
Yeah.
very, very tiny number, the pain does get worse. And even if that happens, there are things we can then do to sort of avoid exacerbating the pain. Like if you avoid certain exercises um, that exacerbate the pain, but that still allows you to take part in the class. So a key
Yeah.
message is that having pain is not a barrier to taking part. It is not.
Yeah. And what about people that have, say, finished cardiac rehab and they maybe have suffered from a heart attack in the past and are just really afraid of getting out of breath? What would you say to
So,
them?
um, first of all, the phase 3 cardiac rehab, which is a standard cardiac rehab program that's offered to patients who've had a heart attack. Phase 1 is the period you spend in the hospital. Then you go home. That's called phase 2. And then phase 3, you come back as an outpatient to the hospital, or maybe to an outpatient version of the hospital, to the integrated care programs for older persons or the chronic disease hubs that are now developing. And you do your 8 weeks, perhaps, of classes twice a week. And that's highly supervised and highly supported, and it's also highly monitored. So you're wearing gadgets to measure your heart rate and all that. When that finishes, the ideal thing is that those people would then go off and keep exercising on their own. Now, some people don't have the confidence to do that, and they prefer or do better in a setting where there's continued supervision. And I suppose the likes of Exwell provides that, because it's the next step down. You're not being monitored with the stuff stuck to your chest for all the classes,
Mm-hmm.
but there is personnel there, or there are who have links to a doctor on the team, and they can ring that person at the drop of a hat to ask for advice. And the
So
other
people
thing
are
that
safe.
the other thing that you touched on there is the breathlessness bit.
Mm-hmm.
And it is extremely common for people with chronic illness to be nervous about getting breathless. And one of the critical steps we encourage people to take, or help people to take, or support people to take, is to try to lose that nervousness or fear of becoming breathless. And to, like, breathlessness is a perfectly normal experience. It's good for you. If it's not very severe, it's actually quite enjoyable. One of the great pleasures of exercise is being a little bit out of puff. Um, and if we can support people to develop the attitude that being a little breathless is good, not bad, and that they should
Yeah.
try to do it, not try to avoid it,
Mm-hmm.
that's an enormously important step forward, because it ends up giving people confidence to take part in exercise and to worry less, or to worry not at all, about being a little breathless.
Yeah.
And that is so important. So that, I often
Yeah.
joke at our inductions about, it's an unusual message to get from a doctor to go out and get breathless. We want you to go out and get breathless. Very often people go
Yeah.
to the doctor because they went out and got breathless. And here are we saying, we would like you to actually go out and get a little breathless regularly. And it's an incredibly important psychological step to
Yeah.
to master. Um,
trying to change that mindset
Yeah,
as well. And
yeah,
as you said, just get the confidence then
yes.
that you're okay, like nothing bad is happening.
Mm.
Um, so with this, if somebody is listening now and they maybe know somebody they'd love to like tell them about Exwell and potentially get them to talk to their doctor or their pharmacist or whoever it is to refer them on, can you just explain maybe what people could expect? Like what types of exercises would be common? Because I went to one of your classes and it was absolutely brilliant to see such a variation in abilities, in age. You have seated classes as well if people are unsteady on their feet. Like there's modifications where necessary, and your team were all absolutely lovely and so supportive and friendly, and just people are smiling. Like they're all smiling, which really struck me. The whole energy of the place was lovely. And so, yeah, just if someone's like, I don't know how to do weights or, cardio or what does that mean or flexibility training, just to kind of give a brief overview of what they could expect.
Okay. Well, when people come, first of all, they would have an induction session, and the induction session includes us gathering our baseline data, the data we use for what we call impact measurement. That is, we gather information at baseline and we do it again 3 months later. And the information we gather,
And that's just a
yeah,
questionnaire, isn't it? Like they just answer questions that they'd
yeah,
be, like you helped them through it the day I was there. It was
yeah.
very simple. It wasn't like an exam for people.
So the information is gathered in two ways. One is a questionnaire, which asks things about how much exercise are you doing, how afraid are you of exercise, tell us about your pain, how's your sleep been, a few
Mhm.
other relevant things. And then there's also a set of physical tests which are done, the baseline tests, which measure strength and aerobic fitness. And they're very simple and they're not frightening, and the important thing that we try to explain to people, it doesn't matter a hoot who's good or bad on day one. What matters is, does each person improve? That's all that matters. And so then,
Mhm.
and then, and then I or whoever, whichever of our doctors is on duty at an induction will then explain the whole thing about Exwell, what it's about, the rationale for it, why exercise is relevant, a little bit about fitness, a little bit about the guidelines for exercise prescription or what should you be doing, a little bit about safety, you know, a
Mhm.
little bit about contraindication. There are rare things, but there are certain things which if they happen on a given day, mean you should not exercise. And I can go into them a little bit if people are interested.
Yeah, we can do that.
But the then the class itself, when they get going in the classes, each class has a warm up and a cool down. That's the start and the finish. And in between, every class has a mixture of three things: of aerobic exercise, which is the getting breathless type exercise; strength work, which can be done using what's called your body weight, using no dumbbells or anything, or it can be done using dumbbells. And then we have a section in every class on core strength, the strength of your core and balance. And improving your balance um, has the really important benefit of reducing the risk of falling. And
Mhm.
there's loads of different ways of doing this. Like, this is not rocket science. It's simple exercise. And like, everybody knows exercise is important and all, but I suppose what we're quite proud of at Maxwell is there's a difference between advocating for exercise and recommending it and actually making it happen for people, actually getting out there and doing it with them. And it's such a fulfilling thing for us. I mean, I run classes myself. I take part in classes, and I would not miss it. I just love it myself because
Yeah.
it bonds me with the participants and with our own staff. But but that's what goes on in a class. And then for anybody, you see, the interesting thing is that, you know, you may have some people who are quite fit and some people who are not very fit at all. And we have to cater for them all. And some people
Mhm.
have difficulty standing. So as you highlighted, we have some classes where there's a chair element to it. So in one corner there'll be a group of people sitting on chairs and doing all the exercise sitting on the chair, or if they're able to stand, standing beside it and holding on for support. While other
Yeah.
people are charging around running, maybe, up and down the hall. And some people are going up and down the hall with their Zimmer frames, and some people are using their walking aids. And some people, well, most people will be catered for within that broad spectrum. Okay, so that's what goes
Yeah.
on in the class. And
Mhm.
what tends to happen is once people understand that they're not in any way out of place in a class like this,
Yeah.
people tend to feel a bit self-conscious. They may be overweight. They don't look so good in glitzy gear, but we don't. ask them to wear glitzy gear. They can, and they see loads of people the same shape and age as themselves who are shuffling up and down the place, and they all love it. They just absolutely adore
Yeah.
it. And
Yeah.
the feedback we get is just so fulfilling for us. We are just chuffed to be able to
Yeah.
help people to experience again the joy of exercise.
Yeah.
Because it is the case that for many, many of these people, in the good old days, they were very active and they've become
Hmm.
underactive because of their illness or because of just bad habit. And they have
Yeah.
lost hope that they'll ever do it again, but they can do it again. They can do it again. And the impact it has on them and on their families who witness this
Mm.
incredible transformation in people's ability and in people's confidence.
Yeah.
And the feedback from the people and from their families is sensational. It really is.
Yeah, I've seen it myself in the village at home. Like my own mum was doing them, and loads of the neighbours. And it's not just about the exercise; it's the kind of camaraderie that they all get together, and the people they meet. And often they go for coffee afterwards, and it's that social connection that we know is so hugely important for our health. Like actually, tomorrow is National Social Health Prescription Day. So it's all about trying to encourage people to create these
Yeah.
connections. Um, but also the lifestyle factors that these classes are going to touch on other pillars. Like if you're going to an exercise class, you're probably going to be more mindful of your hydration. And I know you guys encourage healthy eating as well. And people can learn more about other aspects of their lifestyle. Their sleep will probably improve when you start exercising because we know that that does have a positive effect on your sleep. So it's not just one thing; it's a whole domino effect, isn't it?
Well, it is, but I mean, a couple of things about that. We actually strategically, I suppose, want to stick at what we're good at ourselves. That is the
Yeah.
exercise, and we will signpost people or direct them to other services within or with outside the HSE where, smoking cessation or stress management or other things that are very, very important, but they're not what we do and we shouldn't and we don't pretend to actually do them. But what we do, um, and what has grown up around the Exwell program is the sort of the club spirit of it
Hmm.
and the community element of it. So that we have a choir, for example. Um, we
Okay.
we we have an annual health fair, which is a sort of a celebration day that people come and attend, and they have educational talks at it. We run a weekly Zoom meeting on a Fridays where we invite everybody who wants to come to just tune in, and on that Zoom we will do an educational piece on something. We discuss sleep.
Yeah.
We'd invite a speaker in about sleep recently. We talk about knee pain, back pain, colonic pain, and all sorts of things. Also about how to do exercises and what does testing mean to explain to people. So we have that as well. And we're about
Hmm.
to launch a volunteer program where we will be asking people within our network to offer two things to other people within the network who would benefit from it. And those two things are transport to and from classes and also just companionship for those people
Oh,
who need it. And and we're also about to start a separate element of Exwell where we are encouraging people to exercise outside the classes as well as in the classes. And we've a really exciting program starting about that. So there's a lot going on apart from just the supervised classes that make people feel
mhm.
bonded to Exwell and part of something a bit special. And
Yeah.
and we're you you mentioned earlier on that we've about 50 centres now around the country, and we well over 7,500 visits every week to our network, and
Mhm.
we're our vision, well, our mission is to transform the lives of people living with the burden of chronic illness through community-based exercise programs, and our vision
Yeah.
is to bring this service to every part of the country, to everybody who
Yeah.
would benefit from it, and to make it accessible. And we have, in some places, we have HSE funding, which means people get 3 months of free classes, after which they have to pay us a little bit. And in some places, we don't have any funding support, so we have to charge that amount from the start. But we're a non-profit, and I mean, the cost of a class might be €6 or €7, but,
Yeah.
but
It's very, very, very
yeah,
reasonable, and for the
yeah,
support people feel
yeah.
as well.
So, I think that little bit about adding in the extra bits that make it special has
Mm-hmm.
proven very, very, very rewarding for us and very much appreciated by the people who attend, and also very, very special. Um,
Yeah.
and the most important thing that happens is they have the cup of coffee afterwards.
Yeah.
And for some people, this becomes the focus of their week. They don't get out at all apart from this, and they look forward to it so much. And if they are feeling a bit under the weather and they can't exercise, they might come for the coffee anyway, which is
Yeah. Most people would do 2 classes per week, and then they've the option of the online class as well, isn't that right?
so. We do have an online offering as well. Yeah. Now the online stuff, the model we've settled on is a pre-recorded version. And we have a
Mm-hmm.
suite of classes available which are of different intensities, and people can move up and down between them as they see fit, or with some guidance from us. But even that,
Yeah.
though, I must be honest, our strength in Exwell is running face-to-face group classes. And
Yeah.
when we dip our toe in lots of other things, and we have done and we will do again, we almost always end up coming back to saying, this is what we're good at, this is what we love
Yeah.
doing, and we're going to keep doing it and focusing on it. That's the main
Brilliant.
thing.
Now, if we have other healthcare professionals listening tonight, like other pharmacists, maybe doctors that haven't heard about Exwell, and can you just briefly explain the referral pathway? How
So,
people, like, if you want to send
yeah,
someone to you?
well, for any doctors listening, we're on Health Link, which is the simplest way for doctors to refer. It's very simple. Just press a button and there's no extra writing to be done. We also have the option of Health Mail, which is a secure
Mhm.
email platform, which you've got to email as something, an attachment, a referral form, either or
Mhm.
a copy of a discharge letter that has come, from the hospital. The only thing we must have on the referral is a contact number for the patient. We also have a
Mhm.
dedicated referrals at xwell.ie email address ourselves. So there's three different
Yeah.
ways of getting it, or you can post it to us at the Irish Wheelchair Association in Clontarf, which is Blackheath Drive. So the referral is simple, and like the easiest way is Health Link. The
Mhm.
next easiest is Health Mail or the referrals at Exwell. So it's not difficult to do it. And the referral form, if you're not doing it by Health Link, you've got to either send us a letter or complete a referral form. And the referral form is on our website.
Yeah.
And
And I would encourage people to actually look at your website and see the videos you have up, which have like little snippets from classes. And it's just absolutely heartwarming to see. Everyone's just really enjoying it. You'll see a variety of different styles of clothing, and it's not all gym gear.
yeah,
It's just really endearing. It's
yeah.
lovely.
So that's the way to
Yeah.
refer. That's the way to refer, and we do all the rest. We
Yeah.
do the contacting, and we will then invite people to the induction and get them started.
Yeah. And age wise, it's open to anybody. Again, just if someone's just joined, there's no age
No,
limit or
there's no way to
restriction.
most of our people are age over 60, to be honest, but we do have younger people in their 20s, 30s, 40s as well. And one of our challenges
Mhm.
actually is trying to reassure younger people that they're not out of place. And,
Yeah.
sometimes that can be tricky. And we have people in their 90s taking part in Exwell, and then we do offer programs. What we've moved towards is just a generic class for all different illnesses. The one exception to that is cancer, where some cancer patients prefer to exercise on their own. Mind you, some cancer patients do not and are quite inspired
Hmm.
by exercising in groups of people who have heart failure or are on oxygen, and you know, seeing people coping with those challenges is very inspirational to cancer patients as well. Although in a
Yeah.
general way, cancer patients tend to be a little bit younger and fitter and able for a bit more, and that's part of our challenge. And
Yeah, to accommodate for everybody.
yeah.
And with the mention of just cancer patients, um, exercise is one of the best treatments for cancer related fatigue, isn't that
well,
correct?
well, the thing about cancer fatigue for people listening is that it's fatigue which is not relieved by a night's rest. And
Mm,
what is interesting to note about it is it seems that, relatively, it's not strenuous exercise, but gentle exercise can help, not worsen, cancer-related fatigue. And it can also help people to tolerate their treatment. The chemo and the
mm,
radiotherapy, it can help them to tolerate it. And it also gets them in good shape for surgery. And it
yeah,
also has a key role in getting people back to a normal existence after the treatment is finished. It gets them, if you've got to go to a group class, then you've got to get dressed again, start driving again, get out of the house again, meet other people again. And then in the longer term with cancer patients, there is the issue of being on medication, which is necessary medication, but some of these medications have themselves side effects, including increased risk of, for example, high blood pressure, and exercise reduces that risk. And then in the longer term, again,
Yeah.
exercise is emerging as there's evidence that it may reduce the risk of cancer recurrence. So there's all sorts of reasons why exercise is a good
Yeah.
idea for people
Yeah.
at any stage of the cancer journey.
Yeah. Brilliant. No, it's so brilliant. And the fact that you guys have a clear pathway, you know, a great program, and you're popping up all over the country. So people can find out where their nearest Exwell centre would be by going on the website.
Yeah.
And it's very easy to find, and just click locations. And then it's a really well laid out website, and the videos on it are lovely as well. So, yeah. Is there anything else you'd like to add? Any success stories or anecdotes you'd like to share?
And not really. I mean, we have so many, like, our business comes with the odd bit of sadness as well, because obviously people who are quite ill attend our program. Some of them pass on and die. And over the years, we've lost some good friends, and it's very emotional at times in our group when that happens. Um,
Hmm.
and the thing is, people become, they feel so much a part of it. It's like a family, and it really is a very, very special experience for us, the team. We appreciate it so much. We feel so privileged to be able
Yeah.
to assist or contribute to people
Yeah.
resurrecting their experience of exercise and getting back to it. And
Yeah.
just to see the wonderment and the joy of people being able to do it again when they
Yeah.
thought they never would. And when we see people in their 70s and 80s actually shuffling up and down a hall running, who haven't run in 30
Yeah.
years, it is just extraordinary. You know,
Brilliant. And I have to say, like, there's a huge potential for the state to be very, very interested in this. Like, I know you have some HSE funding, but I really hope that you get more going forward, because the cost savings on, like, reducing the burden on the healthcare system would be huge, and you guys can measure that.
well, we are measuring it, yeah, and it's one of the things we do measure. And there is beginning to emerge some evidence of an impact on, for example, unscheduled attendances at A&E departments, things like that. And there's evidence also of, like, just hints of it. I mean, it's we're very committed to research. We have a very strong research committee, very high powered. But
Hmm.
there are challenges in running very robust research in a program like ours, because the gold standard for research is what's called a randomized control trial. And a randomized control trial in our setting means depriving some people of the offering that we have. That is, you randomize some people
Yeah.
to having it and some people to not having it. And ethically, we struggle with that. We can't do that. We cannot, if somebody's referred to our program, they're not referred to become a control in an exercise trial. They're referred to take part in exercise. So we have to do that. And that does give us challenges about interpreting our data, but nevertheless, that's the real world, and we have to live in it, and we have to do our research
Yeah.
based on that constraint.
Yeah, well, you're doing a great job, and the whole team are super. I witnessed it myself, and I will be recommending Exwell to all of my customers. I think would benefit from it, and I hope others do the same. So exwell.ie, people can find your page on Instagram now from this. This will also be shared on YouTube, so it can be rewatched or shared around. But thank you so, so much. I know you're really busy. Really appreciate you coming on tonight. And I'm very honored to have hosted your first Instagram Live as well. So thank you.
I'm of a generation, I don't know how to use Instagram, but here I am using it.
You did great.
Okay.
Brilliant. Well, look, thank you so much.
All right.
And I'm sure we'll be in touch and our paths will cross
Okay.
again, I hope.
Thank you so much for having me. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.